Right, so Sourav Ganguly and Sunil Gavaskar with us. A lot has been spoken about how this is reminiscent of the 1992 World Cup because that was similar to Pakistan. They were almost out, even lost to India, but then went on to win the tournament. Do you think they can do an encore here?
I think 85, more closer to 85 where he was captain.
Yes.
And India won the Benson edges in the final, beating Pakistan. I don't know who was captain of Pakistan, Miadad or Javed Miadad. Miadad was captain of Pakistan and he was captain of India. So it's a bit like that, in the 50 over format. There was the MCG, this is at the Oval. So I would probably get closer to that. Yes, if from the other point of view, if you're saying Pakistan, they were not done and dusted as it was in the last 1992 World Cup. They lost the first game, but they came back and beat South Africa. So when you play big tournaments, you have to win at some stage. But that game, they got all out for 70 against England, and then the game got washed away. So that was a bit lucky. But this tournament, I think Pakistan have really played well. Except the first game, they've looked a much better side in the next three.
Simon, I want to talk about 85, but before that 1992 comparison, you think that's fair, or are the teams really very different from what it was back then?
Well, I think over there Pakistan had a bit of luck with the rain, as Sourav mentioned in that game at Adelaide. They were knocked out for 70 odd, and then the rain saved them. In this instance, there has been no luck. They have won by sheer dint of performance. Yes, the first match I thought they got a bit overawed against India. They looked out of their depth. But since then, they made a couple of changes to their team. There is Fakhar Zaman who's come in to open, and the left-hand, right-hand combination's been very, very good. And I think Wahab Riaz's injury was pretty much a blessing in disguise, because I think that Wahab Riaz is still living on that one spell that he bowled to Shane Watson 2 years ago. He's done precious little after that, and in fact has been very expensive. So in his place, Junaid has come in, and I think that's made a difference as well.
Since you mentioned 85, what are your memories of that particular thing? Because in fact, our viewers wouldn't know, we keep talking about 2000 and various other things. 85 was the last time India beat Pakistan in a final as far as one day is concerned.
50 overs is
Yes, 50 was.
I don't think they played much in a final with Pakistan after 85. I can't remember, because they lost in 87 in India in the semi-final. So that game, I remember the first wicket of Kapil, I think was a Yorker. Second wicket of Kapil Dev was in Yorker. I remember Imran Khan bowling, and there were dropped catches by the keeper, and they dropped Azhar twice outside the off stump with Imran bowling. So he was extremely furious, and they were defending a small total, I think 180 odd, 170 or 180 odd. But before that game, for me, the standout innings of that tournament was against New Zealand, Kapil Dev and Dilip Vengsarkar in the semi-finals, when India were down and out. India were on the verge of losing. Richard Headley was bowling so well, and Kapil Dev smashed it with his different bat, which was curved at the top. They dropped a sitter at mid-off in that game, I remember, of Richard Headley's bowling, and then Kapil Dev and Dilip Vengsarkar took it away.
Right, so that's Sourav Ganguly talking as a fan, because he was watching that game as a fan. So anyway, if you were to give advice to the current Indian team, of course, like, what are you going to talk to them about, batting or bowling? But from that 85 experience, beating Pakistan in a final, what would you like to tell the young boys who are going to be facing again Pakistan after such a long gap in a 50 over final?
Well, I think just to play their natural game. And I think over there in that 1985 World Championship of Cricket, it's pretty similar, because we beat Pakistan in the first group game. I think if I remember rightly, we beat them in the first game, and then we went and beat them again in the finals. So we beat them twice in that event, and here is a chance for this Indian team to do the same in a world event.
Okay. Now here's a stat that will not make Pakistani fans happy, but Indian fans would be very happy. The final, of course, is being played at the Oval, and interestingly, in the last 9 games that Pakistan have played at the Oval, they've lost 7. So the ground doesn't augur well as far as Pakistan is concerned, whereas India has done really well.
Yeah, they have, and most importantly, India have done remarkably well against Pakistan in the last few years. The closest they came was 2007, and India on paper is a very strong side. I don't believe teams on paper, because everybody thought India will get past Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka went past them. It's about the day, but the biggest advantage India has over Pakistan is that off late they have reacted in big games much better than Pakistan have mentally, psychologically, and I think that's going to be very crucial tomorrow.
You think Pakistan, they've been freezing every time they're playing India in a big game. Do you think that's something that they have to look at rather than thinking about strategizing against India?
Yes, and I think they have to play their natural game. Their natural game is an aggressive game, something like what Fakhar Zaman does. And if they get off to a flying start, that might just give their team just that impetus and the belief that they can compete in the finals.
A few changes to the Pakistani team than the one that played against India in the first game. As Dada is saying, they've not been up to the mark playing against India. But Dada, would you concede that this Pakistani team that will play the final will be very different to the one that played in the first round? Fakhar, as Sunny Bhai is saying, has been performing well. Junaid is going to be back. Many were surprised he didn't play that first game, and he's been very good against Virat.
Yeah, Azhar Ali at the top. He did well he's done well for Pakistan with the bat. But the rest haven't fired so much. Yes, they are a much improved side than what they were at the start of the tournament, and probably in their best position to play India in a final. And they have deserved their place in the final. They've beaten some great teams. England walked in with these favourites tag, and they just blew them away. So you never know what is it with the Pakistan team, but it's how they turn up psychologically. I just feel when they play India, they just get too pepped up. They just feel that it's a big day, we have to beat them no matter what happens, and actually they just look flat when they're out on the field. It's the energy which they lose before the start of the game. So how you turn up tomorrow, how you spend today and wake up tomorrow morning will also be very important for Pakistan.
So it's often said that it's Pakistan's bowling versus India's batting, but you would like to disagree because you've just said India has a better bowling lineup. Why do you say that?
Well, because of the variety it has. They've got lovely new ball bowlers in Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Jasprit Bumrah, who can bowl not only at the top of the innings but at the end of the innings. Then in the middle overs they've got somebody like Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin, and unless it is an overcast day, I think both of them will play. And so there's variety in the attack, and therefore I believe that India has covered its fronts just about everywhere. And then there's a bit of off spin from Kedar Jadhav. There's a bit of seam up stuff from Hardik Pandya. So all in all, I believe the Indian attack has got a lot more variety than the Pakistan attack.
You went with Pakistani bowling attack as the better one when I asked you at the start. In fact, after that game in the semi-final, you said that that's one of the finest bowling performance you've seen. So what is it that you saw in that Pakistani bowling attack that you've rated them ahead of India?
It's the consistency of length and line bowled right areas. Didn't give anything away. I can't remember a square cut being played by English batsman in that game. Somebody like Ben Stokes played 64 deliveries and just got one boundary. And even the young Roman Reis, who was playing his first game, he just bowled at the block hole to Ben Stokes, who's such a powerful striker of the cricket ball. So I think that was probably one of the best bowling performances I've seen in this Champions Trophy.